advantage Trump had, and to some extent still holds, is he is so outrageous in attacking our institutions and undermining our rule of law that it's hard for people to believe literally what they are seeing before them. And sadly, the Republican Party has gone along with him. They have hung their spines up on the wall as they walk into their offices. They have no conscience, they have no spine. And we are seeing the results of a party that has been taken over by a demagogue.
On that note, Hillary Clinton also predicted the former president will run again in 2024 and said if he wins, it may be the end of American democracy. Still with us, Don Calloway and Michael Steele. I mean, Michael, to the former Secretary of State's point, how do you get the American people to take seriously the attacks by Trump against our institutions? I mean, maybe in the beginning it was you could hardly believe what you're hearing. Then the concern was, well, everyone was just too exhausted to even think about it or talk about it. How do you get them to react to what they're seeing before it's too late?
You know, that's been the challenge from the very, very beginning across the board. But then when you begin to look at it, I think Mrs. Clinton has her finger on an important pulse, and that is the leadership within the Republican ranks that have appeased and explained and excused and all of this behavior. We're watching right now, you know, just prime example of it by Mark Meadows, who writes this book, and he in it, you know, exposes Trump and the threat he was to the health of those around him by his recklessness with COVID. And then when Trump calls him out about having printed that in the book, he goes out and says, yeah, my book is basically fake news. I mean, you just sit there and you just go, okay, this is the level that we're dealing with. So if it's hard when you need both parties, because that's all we've got right now, unfortunately, just two parties, right, that are pulling in different directions, one pulling towards democracy, the other pulling away from it. It is hard to move the American people in large swaths. And that's the difficulty right now. In the past, despite our political disagreements, you know this, you've covered it as a journalist and talk about it on your shows. You know, in the past, we all pulled in the same direction because we believed fundamentally in this experiment and the founding institutions that help us govern it.
Well, and
That's
you could
no
follow
longer
it,
the
right,
case.
Michael? I mean, now you're in a situation where, I mean, everything changes every minute. It isn't just that, you know, Mark Meadows decided that he was going to disavow his own book. Then he follows that up with deciding he's not going to cooperate with the committee after giving them all that paperwork, right? So, look, Don, I'm sure you saw this, what I thought was an alarming headline from Charles Blow in his New York Times column. This is his latest column. We're edging closer to civil war. And as an example, he drew parallels between the abortion fight and slavery 200 years ago in that they're both about subjugation. And he goes on to write this, quote, all of us should be very worried about what we see happening with these abortion cases, not just women who might need abortions or relatives and friends of women who might need them. We should worry about whether or not we are at an inflection point for an age of regression. Don, do you think that maybe we're already at that point?
Oh, we very much are. Brother Blow is correct. And he's saying some uncomfortable phrase, particularly two words, which we don't want to use lightly, civil war, because we've been through that in this country. But unfortunately, that's pretty much where we are. Listen, let's have a serious talk about root cause analysis, politics aside. There is a woman and two black men on this panel. This country was founded upon an idea in which neither of the three of us would have been able to participate in open dialogue, let alone governance and leadership in this country. And we are moving to a place where actuarially, the science of data and population has been showing us for some time that we're moving to a place where we will be a majority non-white country in a very short period of time. And we are already there in many places in this country. So the question is, are the institutions that set up this country willing to fight to preserve a space in which neither of the three of us are fundamentally allowed to participate? What we saw on January 6th is the extent to which people are willing to go to preserve a white male heterosexist patriarchy. hegemony that this country was built upon. It has never been a fair and fundamentally equitable place. And what are we going to do? Are we going to embrace the concept of a multiracial, multicultural democracy, or are we going to fight to preserve a place in which everyone is not allowed to fundamentally equally participate? That's what we saw on January 6th. We see one party pushing for the multiracial democracy of inclusion. We see another party pushing for the preservation of white male supremacist, heterosexist patriarchy. And, you know, I think that civil war is a jarring term to hear. But right now, we are definitely at an inflection point at that fork in the road. And I don't have a whole lot of faith that within the two-party system, we're all pushing in the same direction.
Yeah, and Charles acknowledges that, and I encourage people to read the entire column and get the context. But thank you, Don Calloway, Michael Steele. Appreciate seeing both.